Well, hello everybody and welcome back. It's Marie and Kate at Mindful Magic.
Hello. It's so good to be back.
It's been a while.
Yeah. It has to brainstorm and we knew what we wanted to talk about today.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll jump right into it. Otherwise we could take up a whole hour just talking about what we've done in the past few months. We can do that another time. But this episode we decided to talk about intuition. It's kind of the basis of everything that we do. I think it's a natural thing that everybody has. Some people are just more in tune than others. And I think if everybody had the opportunity to practice and believe in it, it's there for everybody, right, Kate?
Yes, for sure. And I feel like with all of my collective readings the past couple of months, developing and trusting our intuition has been such a huge theme because of all these shifts. I've been saying, holy shift, everyone's saying, holy shift. And learning to really trust your intuition right now is so important. And we need that. So it's just the perfect way to get back to it and start talking about
Yes.
intuition.
I love it. So we'll just start with the actual, what the dictionary calls intuition. So the dictionary says it's the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. So intuition is often described as kind of a knowing without knowing how you know. It's that gut feeling, that inner voice, that sudden insight that seems to arise spontaneously without the use of conscious reasoning or deliberate thought. It just happens. So we're going to try to break it down and kind of explain it from a few different viewpoints. And then we've got some fun stuff at the end, a little bit of practice.
Yes. All right. So, what is intuition? So, one, it's subconscious pattern recognition. So, your brain is constantly taking in and storing experiences, emotions, and observations, often without you realizing it. Intuition draws on that huge reservoir of data, connecting the dots in the background. So, it's I'm trying to put to words what I'm feeling, like the messages that I'm hearing now about you can put things together, especially as an empath or someone who's really sensitive. You can remember things subconsciously. And I've done this before where you can take things from different times, different experiences, and put them together, even not like it says, not realizing that you just know because you've heard it in so many places or you've seen it. It's like that confirmation. And our angels use our memories, even subconscious memories, as like it says, a storehouse or a library to help us figure things out. And we just know. Like, so that's one of them. And fast automatic knowledge. Unlike analytical thinking, which is slow and deliberate, intuition tends to be fast and feels immediate because you just know. Doing readings all the time, it's always those first messages that I get. And usually for me, a lot of them are images or emotions. It's the first one I get. And if you stew on it too long, sometimes your ego will get mixed in there and then you get confused. So it's always quick, fast, and to the point. Next,
And
it's
Kate, can I ask a question or just interject really
yeah.
quick because I think that this is important too because you're talking about your readings. So there's sometimes I mean we're talking about this spontaneous thing like you just know, but a lot of times when you have an intention for something like take for instance you're going to do a reading for me. And so there's already that intention there,
Mhm.
so you start getting messages like the day before or while you're in the shower before.
Or during
So,
another reading, like today, your
yes, I
guide
popped
popped
into
in. I'm like, it's not your turn.
I know my guide's popping in. No, she got to tell her this. I That was amazing.
That was funny.
Um but that's part of it too, right? Is you're setting an intention and then all this intuition starts to pop
Mhm.
in too. So that's just
Yeah,
another
and
way.
opening the door, especially when you intuitively open that door, that your angels know. Okay, she gave me permission, or your spirit team. Let's send her what she needs or what this individual needs. So yes, I love that you brought that up. And then emotionally driven. Intuition is emotionally driven. So it's often tied to feelings like a sense of unease when something is off or a strong pull toward a decision that just feels right. All of us can relate to that. just those gut feelings. Something feels wrong, something feels right. I mean, that is where I feel intuition is such a gift because everyone experiences that. I mean, I feel most people, everyone I know experiences that gut feeling. So, emotionally driven for sure.
And I think, for our viewers who are listening or watching, I think everybody has had one of the following kind of instances. Like, you're at a stop sign or you're going somewhere and you just know you're supposed to turn right. You get maybe an image or you hear an inner voice, and we're going to go over how people receive information a little bit later, but everybody's had that. Or you think of a person or a deceased loved one and a song comes on the radio, or you see a sign. These are all tied to intuition.
Yeah.
So
And
um
for my angels, a lot of it's like, Katie, slow down. And then there's a police officer half a mile up the road. Like, thank
yes,
you. You
I
got my
mean,
back always.
and that's the thing. Once you learn how you receive it personally, because we all receive it a little bit differently, but once you know and you're honed into it, oh, it's just so helpful.
That's so true.
It's like having a guide all the time.
Mhm. I love
you
that you
know
said that because, like you said, we all receive messages differently. We'll go over that soon, but I love that you mentioned that. So true.
Yeah, thank you. So now I'll just mention like the scientific view of intuition versus the spiritual view. So science sees intuition as the brain's ability to rapidly access learned information and experiences without engaging the conscious mind. So yes, the brain's ability to rapidly access learned information and experiences, but I think those are the signs that you'll see that are also going to be associated with this gut feeling. I mean, science isn't really proving like the gut or talking about the gut feeling that you get. Yes, our gut feeling will tie to memories and to learned information to give us that image that means something for us, or give us that sound that means something for us that's tied to our experiences. Of course, how else would we,
Yeah.
recognize that?
I also feel, Marie, if I could say, I
Yeah,
feel like science really they can't explain intuitive divine protection. Like, that's an example of you can't really explain that with science. Like, the danger, like if you're in danger or you're going to be in danger if you do this, like, that is something that is kind of I feel like how I would like to know how you would explain that scientifically.
right, right.
Yeah.
And so far, nobody has been, not that I know of, has
Not
been
that I.
able to. But I'd love to be able to tie that research when they do, just to give it more validity for people who are like, it's hooey,
Mhm.
hogwash.
Yeah.
Okay. So the spiritual or metaphysical traditions often describe it as a connection to higher self, divine guidance, universal wisdom, or psychic ability, something beyond logic of the five senses. So I that's it exactly. It all ties together for us. Do you have
I
any?
I like that one too. I totally agree. And the psychic ability, logic beyond five senses, our deceased relatives, our angels, our ancestors communicate with us and protect and guide us through our intuition. So it's not just our higher selves. This is a way for a channel for our spiritual team to connect and guide us.
Yep, yep.
I know a lot. My grandfather, if I could give an example, my grandfather was very holistic and natural, and he taught me so much. Um, and he guides me this way now, even when he's passed, using my intuition about what vitamins I need, what I don't need. And he speaks to me through my intuition to guide me to what I need, just like he used to when he was here.
That's so sweet. Oh, I love that. If we all could just be guided by our sweet grandparents.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I
He'll
feel
guide you if
my,
you ask him.
what's that?
I said, if you ask him, he'll guide you.
Oh yeah. I feel my grandma's around. I had a connection with my grandmas, because I don't have any living grandparents anymore. But yeah, I had a sweet connection yesterday that was I really appreciated. So now, I mean, let's talk about how we receive our intuition, our information, our images, our smells, our sights, our sounds, just that inner feeling of knowing that you just can't explain. You just know. And I don't know how else to say it. It's true, you know? So I wanted to go over the clairs, those intuitive senses that go beyond the five physical ones. Each of the Clair abilities represents a different way of receiving intuitive or psychic information. So let's break that down. Let's do the Clairs, Kate.
Yeah, so I'll start with clairvoyance. This is one of my main clairs, and I love helping others learn how to develop this because it's so easy. And I believe so many of us have it, which thinking that people don't have that inner picture, that just blows my mind. Like that you can't form, if I say, think of a pink giraffe or a regular giraffe and you can't form a picture, that just blows my mind. But I feel like everyone that we talk to for the most part has clairvoyance and can develop that. So clairvoyance is clear seeing. So this is the ability to receive intuitive information visually. So this is in your inner vision. So this would be like a thought or a picture that you see in your mind. So for me, it's a lot of colors. I see movie scenes. I hear music, certain songs. My angels and guides, I have this weird ability to remember movies and voices. So a lot of times they will put a movie scene in my mind and I'll remember what the theme was for that movie or the lesson because that's just how they work with me. So it's different for everyone, but certain images, some people see geometric symbols, colors, flashes, even short mind movies, just scenarios. So, not necessarily with your physical eyes. This is through your third eye. So, example, you suddenly see a vision of a sunflower when you're thinking of someone, and later you find out they planted a sunflower garden, or you see a sunflower and you're like, that was my grandmother's favorite flower and she passed on. That's another way that our deceased relatives connect with us as well. So I love clairvoyance. And it's easy to develop. You just meditation, prayer, setting the intention to understand understand that we all have this psychic library. Whatever a symbol means to you, that's what your angels are trying to tell you. It's not, don't go ask someone, what does a butterfly mean to you, because it's the message is for you. So when it comes to symbols, using your intuition and what it means is the best way to figure out what that means or what you should do with it.
And I love that you brought up the fact that what a butterfly means to you might mean something different for me. You know, I'm just going to kind of go off on a tiny tangent here because I think that's a really important point to bring up. You know, there's lots of dream what's it called when you're trying to figure
Symbolism,
out what's it?
symbolism,
Yeah, like dream
interpretation.
symbolism, books, interpretation. Thank you. My long COVID brain doesn't always work. In dream interpretation books, and I think they're great. And I do believe that some symbolism does apply to everybody because it's a collective consciousness. Did I say it right? Why does it
Yeah,
sound weird?
I think so.
Consciousness. See, again, my brain. Um, but there are certain things that are very specific. Like, for me, dragonflies, I have one tattooed on my arm. They're very symbolic for me. So, anyway, I wanted to mention that because when you are starting to develop your intuition and like you think you may have clairvoyance, and honestly I think we all have a little bit of all of them at different times. They just one might be stronger for you. And so if you see in your mind's eye a picture of, like, let's say the sunflower or something like that, um, what that means for me, it might be different for you. So really think about the symbols. Like, why did I see a sunflower? What does that represent for me? Because if your guides are showing you that, that might be their symbol forevermore that shows you that everything's going to turn out right, or you're on the right path, or something like that. So recognizing it, and then also acknowledging and being grateful. I wanted to say one other thing about the Claire's, Kate, and I think this happens for you too. Sorry, I gotta drink my water. Mm. Is that I see visions in my head, of course, inside in my mind's eye, but there are once in a while where my clairvoyance is I will see like a flash of a word in my eyes, like it'll be on the wall, or I mean it's not really there, but it's like it's the projection
Mhm.
also of your third eye. Like I remember I used to look up at airplanes and I would see, is that safe or unsafe? There was just something about airplanes flying, and I would see safe written across like the airplane. Like,
I love
okay,
that.
that it's not going to crash, and I don't want to know the unsafe ones. I never did see one that said unsafe, but all the safe ones never crash. So, anyway, yeah, I wanted to mention that. And then, um, do you see also like
I
some
do. I was going to
projected
give you an
images?
example. Yeah. So I receive a lot of times with my skincare products. This is an example of when I do see it. If I'm not supposed to use something, my third eye projects a big X, red X on it. So
I
like
love that.
shampoos, body wash, this happens often because I'll slack and I'll go buy something at the store that I know I shouldn't get. You know how that goes. So whatever I'm not supposed to use, whether it be dish soap, anything that I put on my skin, or in my body, I will see projected from my third eye a red X. So yes, don't do it.
I
No.
love that. I wish everybody could have such an easy and like, just obvious, like, don't do this. That's so awesome.
Well,
I
what's
love
funny
that.
is like, yes, we do, but do I listen? Most of the time, no. I'm like, okay, fine. Next, when this one's gone, I'll go get a better one.
I
I'll
know.
use,
And you're,
or I have Marie's soap. I'll switch it out.
I know your guides are going like, yeah, she's not
Yes.
listening.
Use your kitchen witch supplies.
Oh, I know. Well, at least I know that they're clean and the ingredients are pure.
Yeah.
That's the whole point behind them. But so one of the next clairs is clairaudience, and that means clear hearing. So that's the ability to hear messages intuitively. Now, it can come either as a voice in your inner mind, like your inner hearing inside, connected with your third eye, which I do a lot. And I have to talk about, like, sometimes I hear my own voice. And that's a little confusing. 'Cause you're like, wait, I'm the one asking the question. How do I have the answer?
Hmm.
I don't think it's really me. It's either my higher self or my guides, but it kind of sounds like me. Other times it'll be like, and it's kind of hard to explain. It's a voice, but not a voice, but it's
Interesting.
there. Yeah. And other times, I mean, Kate too will get literal clairaudient, like whispers in our ears,
Mhm.
So, I know that my son, Kavika, used to, no, that's more of a paranormal thing. Something used to whisper. That's a ghost. Never mind.
I'm wondering, Marie, I never thought about that, like about hearing it, but you're not hearing it. Would that be considered like telepathic communication because it's more of a feeling and a knowing instead of using
I
words?
think it's one in the same. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's what I mean. But I wonder if it's because you're not hearing the words, but you know what the message is. Maybe that's.
Yeah. But it's also like it's almost like a whisper, but it's less than a whisper.
Mhm.
It's really hard to describe, but it's definitely something that I am, um at least associating with hearing within, and oftentimes it does come with some type of visual, clairvoyant type of image as well.
Yeah, same. I get that. Not all the time, but my brother's very visual as well as the clear audience and clairvoyance for him. He'll send me an image of him and then I can hear him talking as well. Like for my angels, it's very short and to the point. It's one
Hmm.
word, two, and one or two words. I know what it means, but with people, a lot of times it's like dialogue, old
Yeah.
conversations that remind you of a message that they would be giving you. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, and I have to say we're talking about Kate's brother who passed, and then I have a brother who passed who, Kate has gotten lots of messages from, and I appreciate it. But Kate's brother, I'm going to say Kate, he likes to play the music box. And I'm like, hey, my brother Kurt, her brother is playing a music box. Where are you playing something for me? I was like, do I need to get a music box out? I don't think that's fair.
My mom bought a music box after that
Right.
for him to
That's
play.
awesome. He better play it. Come on, brother. So, so again, how it feels, the Claire audience, it may come as a voice in your mind, like your own internal narration, but not quite your voice, but sometimes it is your own voice, or sometimes actual sounds, music, or words heard externally, but with no physical source. So it's like, it could be either or, it can be a combination, but that is Claire audience, the clear hearing of intuition. So, like, for example, you hear the word stop out of nowhere before making a decision and later realize that that would have been a huge mistake. And that's part of also learning um, how you receive information is by those looking back and going, oh,
Mhm.
I heard something and then I did this anyway, and I should have listened, or I should have listened to my gut feeling. That's all of that intuition trying to guide you.
And it's almost always after the fact until you learn, wow, I should have listened. I'm going to slow down more. I'm going to quiet my mind. And that's a lot of times it's just learning from your past, not really mistakes, but that was a lesson, but learning from your past. And
Yep.
I want to ask our listeners, Marie, if you wanted to share a time that you wish you trusted your intuition or a time that you're so happy that you did. I would love to hear stories of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So please email us, mindfulmagicchannel@gmail.com. And we love the comments. We love the questions. And I mean, obviously, if you guys give us permission, we'll talk about it here. And I love that. Let's interact more.
Yeah. Agreed. So the next one is clairsentience. So this is clear feeling. So this is the ability to feel energies, emotions, or physical sensations. So how it feels. So you might pick up on other people's moods, feel physical sensations related to someone else's experience, like a headache or earache, or get a strong emotional reaction to a place or an object. When I give readings, I can tell a lot of times I'll start to get pain or a headache, or it's a chakra that I feel some pressure. That's clairsentience, taking on not really someone else's pain. Doesn't hurt. It's just a very mild version of it. So your angels can help guide you to what needs to be focused on, or anyone that you're working with. And also moods. I mean, clairsentience for me is one of my most developed clairs. I rely on it. So feeling emotions. So I don't know if I'm going to just say this. I don't know anyone who's listening. To learn how to develop your clairsentience, it's this is how I describe it, is if you're trying to communicate with a person that's passed away or an angel, let's say a person. So you could envision yourself either sitting next to them or in their body. And from, if you just envision, you ask your angels to help you connect, or whoever that protects you, Archangel Michael, hopefully. But you just kind of envision yourself in their body and pay attention to what you feel in your body, the emotions that you feel. And my ears are ringing right now. Um, you just, anything that you pick up on, whether it be physical or emotions. So that is a really, I depend on that a lot, not just when I do readings, but when I'm in a room. So many that are clairsentient or empaths can walk into a room and they can read it immediately, the collective energy of the room. You walk in and be like, I want to leave right now, or you walk in and you could relax. So that's clairsentience, when you walk into a room and you're like, I don't want to be here. Or
Right.
this feels nice and cozy. That's clairsentience. So, an example, I just said, walking into the room, sensing tension, or feeling a sudden sense of terror and later find out there was a murder there. I, one of my favorite things to do when Danny and I go on our vibe drives, when we need to clear our minds, we go for our vibe drive and we just talk. But when we drive to places that we've never been. And one of my favorite things to do is to feel the energy of the homes and the neighborhoods, because if you really focus, you can feel the history there. Was it positive? Was it negative? Was there a lot of living done there? Happiness in children. So you can even do that while you're driving.
Yeah. I like that too. I like the clairsentience. I think that works for me is it's almost that immediate judge of character. Like when you meet somebody, I it's like, ooh, I don't I don't like the vibe, and you just can feel it. Now, that person, it just might be the day, or it could be their entire existence, and then also the opposite for you. You go to somebody and you just feel their light. It's like you're feeling it everywhere. It's just a knowing, of um like whether you're drawn to something or repelled by something.
Yeah, it's so, and you're so right. I can relate to that knowing when you first meet someone, usually for me, I can tell whether they're just naturally that way for the most part, or if it's just a mood. And and then for the light, I'm going to use an example. So there's this woman, we just moved to a new town, and she works at the gas station behind the counter, and I went in a few times, and she has such a beautiful soul that she changed. Every time I go in there, everyone is happy. Everyone that works there is happy. There's always like fresh popcorn, and she's just like, she has this beautiful feminine energy. And I felt like I just had to tell her. And I told her one day, I said, I just want you to know that you have such a beautiful soul and you impact everyone that walks in the door. And I said, you just, I love it. And I had to tell you that. And she got teary eyed and she's like, thank you so much for saying that. But I feel like we should all be doing that. If someone makes you feel good, even if it's weird, even if it gets weird, Marie, we've talked about this before. Say I love you and make it weird, but say, I see your light. I recognize your light. And thank
Mhm.
you for being who you are. It really, not only does it make someone feel good, but they won't forget it. And it will help them shine brighter.
And yeah, because they're hearing that acknowledgement that they may be looking for from that outside source. What if you were the sign that they
Mm-hmm.
needed, you know?
Yeah.
But it's good. It's a ripple effect. It just keeps it going. I like that. And I, you know, telling people when they have that great energy is such a good thing. Not so much when they have a bad energy. We
No.
won't we won't do those, but keeping the good light going is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah.
um, so the next Claire is claircognizance. It's clear knowing. And a lot of these kind of overlap each other. They're very similar. This one, claircognizance, is kind of like clairsentience. So it's the ability to just know something without being told. It's like a download of truth or facts that arrive instantly. You don't know how you know, but you just do, and you're usually right. For example, you just know someone's lying, or that a friend will call. And then you think of that person, and boom, a minute later, they're calling or texting you. So, kind of similar to clairsentience, although that's more like a feeling. I feel like the cognizance part is a little bit more in your brain, you
Oh
know?
yeah, I agree. And with the clear cognizance, I feel like it's downloads, it's messages, and asking your higher self asking your higher self questions and receiving the answer and learning how to do that, realizing that you don't have to, you know, pay for a reading from someone to connect with your higher self. Learning to develop that and having that open dialogue and communication between your higher self and you is so clear cognizance. I feel a lot of times is how those messages are sent back to you or sent to you. And then my
Yeah.
husband, I always say he's clear cognizant. He can just sit in a vehicle and put his hands on the steering wheel and he'll know what's wrong with the car. It's so weird. He's like, it's just weird. He's like, I don't even know how to fix it, but I can tell what's wrong. And he can look at things and know how they work, or know, like when he was a kid, he'd take things apart. I feel like a lot of men are clear cognizant and they don't realize it, because I was like, wow, what about, men do, they just know things and maybe they just don't realize it
Hmm.
about
Yeah,
the way
that's
things work.
like Danny's doing psychometry when he's putting his hands on something, and it's just he's getting all of that, which will be a really fun thing if you guys take your vibe rides and you go to like just say old abandoned places or something, because you don't want to exactly have him go up and put his hands on somebody's house and they're in there and you're like, I'm getting the vibe but he's touching it, we're gonna
We're
see if we
reading your
match
home.
it. Yeah. Reading your home. Well, wouldn't that be kind of cool, like when you guys are on a trip or whatever, have Danny put his hands on it and see what he gets, and then you get it from, and that's kind of cool. Yeah,
Yeah, we were
he
thinking of
should develop that.
experimenting and helping him develop that because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. And I
Yeah.
mean, I recommend anyone try to do that, holding objects, and just paying attention to what you receive through your clairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Let's
next Clair is Clairaudience. So this is clear smelling. So this is not quite as common, but this is intuitive smells without a physical source. So you catch the scent of perfume, cigar smoke, flowers tied to a spirit or memory, even when there's no one around. So smelling your grandma's perfume out of nowhere when thinking about her. When I'm outside working with fairies, I smell flower, or not, of course I smell flowers outside, but I'll be outside and I'll get just a strong whiff like in my face. And that's how they say hello. That's just, there's so many examples of this, but a lot of times it's when you're giving a reading or if you get a visitation from a relative that's passed away, the smells are for you too, because smells trigger memories. So
yeah.
yeah. Do you have any
I,
experiences with that, Marie?
yeah, I do. I have been in a place like doing like a paranormal investigation and smelling cigar smoke. And of course nobody, it just comes. It's like, okay, who is that? Because that's obviously we're there in the dark and nobody's smoking. So, there's one example of it. But I think a lot of people, I feel like I've heard of a lot of people that will smell their like grandma's perfume, like a smelling
Mhm.
of a scent that somebody had seems like probably one of the most common.
Oh, okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just actually, now that you say that, yeah, but I've actually read in books that it was not as common for when doing readings. So, like someone who
Uh,
is a reader, so I shouldn't say that about everyone in general. I was more speaking of people that give readings and like the psychic mediums and stuff. But I could be wrong about that too. I mean,
no, I
obviously,
feel like, oh, I'm sorry.
no, I just feel like you're right when you think about it that way. How many times do we smell things that are actually just, in fact, our loved ones or our angels? Angels, a lot of rose smells, a lot of floral. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I feel like I've heard, not talking about readings, but just normal people who are, they can think back to, oh, I was thinking about my grandma or my mom or dad or whoever.
Yeah.
And I thought I got a whiff of Gina Tay. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So for our listeners, if you've ever had an experience with this, with the clear smelling, please email us and share it. We'd love to hear your stories. So send us an email.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Kate. During readings, when I've done readings, I think it's more like I'm hearing and seeing. I don't ever remember getting a smell when I've done a reading for somebody.
I've
So
only have a
that's,
couple of times. It
yeah,
just
that's
depends on
interesting.
the energy, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, since we're talking about smell, there is a Claire associated with tasting. It's Claire Gustance. I want to say it like that. Claire Gustance. That's a
I
funny
like
one.
the way that sounds. I don't know why.
Yeah, clairgustance. That is clear tasting. So it's the psychic ability to taste something that isn't really physically present. So I think that's probably a little less common, but hey, that might be your guy's thing. There there's all these different ways that you receive information, and so this episode is trying to show everybody all the different ways that are possible, at least what we know of, and show you that it's all normal and you can develop it, you know?
Yeah.
So, it often happens when connecting with a spirit. You'll get a taste, like maybe but they're just sending you the sensation of maybe their favorite food or, if they were like a big whiskey drinker, maybe you get a little taste of some whiskey, or just as an example, something like that.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, as another example, you can like maybe taste chocolate cake in your mouth if you're giving a reading. We're talking about readings here, not normal everyday stuff, but that still can happen. And it turns out that it was like somebody's birthday. And now that you were in a reading and you tasted cake and you found out it was somebody's birthday, that's probably going to be your guides and your higher self's way of telling you that it's a birthday. Is this cake? That will be your symbol for birthday. So it's something to pay attention to.
Great dieting technique too. You don't have to actually eat the cake.
I know. Nom, nom, nom.
So some common forms of intuition. So gut feelings. First one, gut feelings. So this is a physical sensation in your body, often your stomach or the solar plexus area, that signals a yes or a no. And for me, like even butterflies, like, that butterfly feeling, that excitement, that's another, the gut area. And then the inner knowing. So this is a deep sense of truth or clarity that just appears suddenly. And this happens all the time. And I want to just say too that the more you learn to trust your intuition, it's like flexing a muscle. The stronger it gets, you'll be able to distinguish your ego from your higher self or your angels, and you'll be able to tell if that's a deceased loved one. But it's just practicing, trusting, asking your angels to send you messages and practice what you hear. You don't even have to really practice with anyone else. So meditation is, and just quiet time is great for that. um, a flash of insight. So, a sudden idea or a solution that seems to come out of nowhere, which happens to me all the time. I always get all these ideas, so I just write them down. But a lot of times, the flash of insight comes when you pray for guidance, for creative inspiration, or money, or whatever it is that you need. You'll get an idea, or for your health, you could be guided to try this new workout plan, these ideas. So, that's another form of intuition. And then one of my favorites, synchronicity. So this is external events that seem to click in meaningful or guiding ways. So for example, synchronicity could be, like we've said a few times, thinking of a person and they call you, or thinking of a movie and you see that someone's watching it, it's playing on TV when you turn your TV on. So synchronicity is usually something that you feel backed up with something in your external world.
Yep. There's a lot of synchronicities. And I mean, I don't ever want synchronicities to become like a cliche word, because it goes hand in hand with like coincidences, but I don't believe in coincidences. I think everything is as it's supposed to be, which would be a synchronicity. So I don't ever want that word to get, I heard somebody say it, oh, tired of people saying synchronicity. Come up with another word that means the same thing, but until then,
Yeah, and
I
also it's more like we talked about in the past. It's just more accepting, where everyone's more open now. So synchronicity is, like you're saying, it has became a normal word and a normal experience because everyone's more open. And what I love about synchronicity is you can actually ask for synchronicities, ask your angels to send you synchronicities, and when you get one, thank you so much. I see that, I accept that. Send me more, make it bigger, or signs and synchronicities. So yeah, I love my synchronicities too.
yeah. Well, we're lucky enough to have some viewership, and we really appreciate you guys so much. We enjoy doing this. I mean, I enjoy just sitting here and talking with Kate about like all of our favorite subjects, but we're so blessed that somebody else finds it interesting and you guys are watching. So we really appreciate it so much. So, so much.
Yeah, we do. Thank you.
Yeah. And so we have a viewer question that we wanted to address specifically about this subject. Hmm. So the viewer asks, I'm new at this and have tried to meditate to get clearer messages and intuition, but I always end up doubting myself. So we wanted to talk about doubts because, they're there. They're still there for the most gifted mediums, psychics. I've heard them say that, the most, renowned, they still have doubts. I don't think we can remove them completely, but what we can do is, like, we're going to talk about strengthening intuition and figuring out how you receive your personal messages. We've got an exercise at the end that will help with that. But I'm going to say that, just accept doubts. Just know that they're going to be there. And physically, when you're meditating or you're trying to sort of do anything with your developing intuition or your psychic abilities, um, I've had to do this when I go meditate. I will physically, or well, in my mind, physically, like, ask my ego self, my human self, that is the one I feel like, producing all these doubts and fears, to just go sit on a chair over there. Just go sit and watch. I'll get you in a minute. Enjoy the show. Please, there's no speaking.
That's so powerful though,
This
Bree. I
is
mean, that's
quiet
setting
time.
yeah, it's just setting an intention that's so powerful. I just sweep it over to the side.
Yep. Just
Yeah.
sit, and then, and so that, right, Kate, that intention is sort of helping to remove our human self, because that's where the block is. That's where the veil is. Um, so some ways to strengthen your intuition, and Kate and I will talk about these, but obviously we've mentioned meditating, and meditate regularly. Get to a quiet place where you can ground yourself, and then meditate to quiet some of that mental chatter. That's going to help remove some of the doubt, is just getting to a quiet place. And I have a hard time with that. I will be open and transparent. It sometimes takes me a while because it's just the way my brain works. The thing won't shut off. I have a hard time sleeping too because of it. It's like a computer that you can't shut down. So that's my challenge in trying to develop my intuition and trying to meditate. But I get there. It's just, I mean, if I can do the work with all this going on, woo, 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 you can do it,
I want to add to that,
So,
Marie. It's
yeah.
like a mom who's trying to have a phone conversation and her kids are all screaming. It's like your phone call is your intuition. The kids screaming, that's your ego. And when you learn how to patiently and quietly say, you're going to have to wait until I'm done the first time, that's just learning how to quiet that down to hear clearly. And
Right.
also the doubting, I just have to add that it reminded me of my son too, wanting to play soccer, but he's not good. He just started. I'm like, that's normal that's normal to not be good at first. You have to try and practice and develop it. So it reminded me of that when you were talking.
Right. It, and there is something to say about, some people are just a little more, I don't want to say gifted, because I believe everybody's gifted, but some people are just they get there a little easier, and for some reason they're just more open. But I believe that everybody has these gifts. Everybody. It's just finding what works for you. What is your particular gift? So we're hoping this episode helps to clear some of that up.
Yeah.
So back to meditation. Um, just, you got to meditate regularly, and you know what, you don't have to carve out an hour of your day. I like to do it right when I wake up in the morning. I feel like you're still kind of in that sleepy state already. It's taken out a lot of my mental chatter, and my body's relaxed, and I just do like a 5 or 10 minute meditation to check in and sort of, do what I need to do with it. And then it's done. You know, Not that I can't do it throughout the day, but a lot of us have busy days, and you know, even if you are at a 9 to 5 job, everybody can take 2 minutes even to just quiet yourself, 2 to 5, stretch it to 5 during your lunch break or something, or before you go to sleep at night. Everybody can make the time for 5 or 10 minutes. So you can also check out we have meditations on our Mindful Magic YouTube channel. If you go to the videos, we have guided meditations, and it's just got lovely, and they're not long. They're not long. They've got lovely music, and words that we think are helpful in
Yes.
those. So, okay, so we're going to end this episode here, and part 2 is right up, you know, and um another thing about intuition is, pay attention to your body's signals. Your intuition often speaks through sensations, like we were talking about. Learn to pay attention to those and then acknowledge them, so that because they can be very subtle. Sometimes, like, you'll think of it 3 days later, like, oh, I knew that. That was barely there, but it was there. So, so like for Kate, like one of the things that her body signals is her ears ring, and she'll start to get pains around, or not pain, but
Sometimes
perceptions. Oh yeah,
your
yeah.
guys turned it all the way up. It was today. And I
I'm
I was
sorry.
giving a reading, and all of a sudden Marie's guides came in, and that was my inner knowing. I just knew, and I'm like, you have to wait your turn, and just shoving it to the side. I can. Well, I called her right after, and I had to call her anyways, and I said, I gotta get a message for you. I pulled a couple cards, and I went to go just put it down. That's good enough. And my ears rang so loud it about knocked me off my chair. I'm like, okay, they're not done.
We're not done.
No.
I know. I love that my guides know you so well, but
Yeah.
don't be rude and interrupt readings. But that must have been, it must
It
have
was
been
important.
just, yeah, it was important. It was
Yeah.
important. So I appreciate that. I acknowledge you being open to that, and I really appreciate it so much. But that's something that can happen. Pay attention to those physical sensations, whether it's a perception of pain, a perception of an ache or a pressure, or sometimes you get tingles, right?
Yeah. Lower
Um,
back pain.
yeah.
Chakra.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and then, another way is to, if you're starting out, or if you're not and you're just wanting to strengthen your intuition, it's a good idea to journal. Just journal and track it, because then you can look back and say, oh, I got this sensation or this sign or this few words in my head the other day. I didn't know what it meant, but, if you look back on it, it's going to make sense for you. And then you can acknowledge thank you to your guides, your higher self, your angels, your team, whatever you want to personally call it. But I think it's really important to acknowledge it. That opens a pathway for more to come.
I totally agree. And then also, Marie, I've noticed journaling. You can also, I feel that every time of the year, a new cycle, not a new cycle, a cycle presents itself for you to either take the lesson and let it go or to keep it going. Like, have you ever noticed patterns in your journaling or patterns even in your Facebook memories? You're wearing the same shirt. Or, pay attention. That's not just a coincidence.
Hmm.
That's a message for you that there's a pattern here. Notice that you've been wearing that. I notice a lot. My Facebook helps me, but also journaling. My friends that are dedicated journalers, I wish I could be more like them, but they notice their patterns and intuitive messages and signs.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. It's just to go to pay attention to those and track them. Journaling is just tracking all that stuff. Um, so this one might be a little tricky. So practice discernment between fear based thoughts and true intuitive nudges. The doubts are prevalent in the beginning for some. For certain, we had them, and I found that, like I was talking about, if you can kind of have your ego self step to the side and maybe possibly remove that, it's just an intention, right? It's just the intention of saying, hey, I'm really needing my mind to kind of shut down and let me just be on the spiritual side of things. Um, because I think the doubts that come in, those fear based thoughts versus the true intuitive nudges, I think once you start practicing that, you're going to be able to discern
Hmm.
which is you that are like fear based thoughts or doubts versus what's truly coming through. So that's where the practice comes in.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, yeah. And you can attest to that, Kate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I know one thing I can comment about this is the fear based thoughts. You'll know whether it's your intuition or not if it causes you so much anxiety that it consumes you. If you're so afraid it consumes you. That is not intuitive guidance. And intuitive guidance is always very simple, to the point, and it's usually a step that you need to take to move forward, or a creative solution that's very simple. So divine messages, intuitive messages will never consume you with fear and worry and stress.
That's a great point. That your guides and teachers are not going to put that type of anxiety in you. You
No.
know, if potentially if there's a super dangerous situation or something, they might do something a little more extreme. Like, perfect example is my stepmom, who what she doesn't practice anymore, but back when I was a teenager, she was very, very psychic. She was very gifted. And um I had a situation where I was 15 or 16, and I was going to go out with my friend Rachel, and we were both kind of punk rocky, and she had some friends flying into town. And so we were going to go out with them. They were boys from out of town, and they kind of were punk rock like us. So we were going to go around San Francisco and have fun. And I came down to go out, before cell phone. So I just had to wait for my friend to arrive. My stepmom looked at me, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go out with Rachel. And she looked at me, and she got this look of dread on her face. And she said, "You're not going." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "No, I see death all around you. You can't go." And I was crushed. I'm 16. I want to go out with my friends, but I also understood that what she knew is what she knew. I knew that. So it
Wow.
was like, Rachel picked me up, and she had a 1969 Impala, super cool car. I had to tell her I couldn't go. And then went on with my night, went to school the next day, and found out that Rachel had died in a
Oh,
fiery car crash.
oh,
So, yep, she was driving with those guys in the car, and she went off the road and crashed into a tree and was pinned, and her car engulfed in flames. I would have been in the front seat with her. So my stepmom saved my life.
wow.
And so that's kind of maybe an example of seeing a dark thing,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
that's a sign. And so you got to listen to those too. They're not going to all be butterflies and dragonflies.
Yes. 100% agree. That is devastating. Wow. But
Yeah.
also, thank God for your stepmom.
Yeah. Yeah. She saved my life. She
Hmm.
saved my life. And then she doesn't want to do this anymore. That was too much for her. She actually went the opposite way. I'm still on the metaphysical path, and she went back to church, no judgment, but that just shows that was too much for her to see whatever she saw me surrounding death. I don't know if she saw me in flames. I don't know what she saw exactly, but scary enough for her. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
So another way to strengthen your intuition is to just spend time in nature. Get out of the house. Go where you're feeling the wind, you're feeling the breeze. You can see the sky day or night. Touch some trees. Put your feet in water. Put your bare feet on grass. Good grass,
Hmm.
clean grass in my
Yeah.
no dog poo.
Yeah.
I have a
Go
thing
for your
about
house
my feet
planner.
being clean. Yeah. But yeah,
I love it.
all
Yeah.
different ways to try to clear your mind and be in a space where you can receive information.
Yes. I'm so sorry, Marie. I did not see this on the notes. I already brought up the intuition, the muscle. I did not see that. Sorry about that. I already said
Well,
it. What was part of yours?
you didn't see it, but you said it. So there's
Yeah.
another intuition, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next viewer question is, I'm so busy, but I love listening to your show. Thank you guys for breaking these things down easy. Thank you for breaking these things down for easy daily use. But what's a very quick grounding exercise for my busy life? Roots and breath. So this is easy. It only takes a couple minutes. Visualization is powerful too. It's simple if you really don't have time. Um, I will envision roots coming out of my feet and wrapping around the core of the earth. And then I ask my angels to just pull myself back into my body. And I really focus on where I'm at. So that is like an instant thing. If I'm really spacey while I'm driving and I need to be here now, that's a quick one. But we also have the 2 or 3 minute one that will really get you grounded. So one, you find stillness. So you sit or stand comfortably, close your eyes if it feels good. Then you breathe deep, inhale through your nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale slowly through your mouth for 6. So breathing in pure light and blowing out any negativity, any heaviness, any energy that no longer serves you. So then you imagine when you're blowing out, releasing doubt, static, situations that are stressing you out, fear into the earth where it transmutes into love energy. And you can get the visualization with the roots and the swirling of the energy, transmuting it, and I like to envision it even throwing up the healing energy after it goes down. So then you visualize your roots. So after you breathe, you do your breathing, you visualize your roots. So picture divine light flowing into your crown chakra, down your body to your feet. So next, continue that light into roots, growing down from the soles of your feet or the base of your spine if you're sitting, reaching deep into the earth all the way to the core. Now imagine your roots anchoring you like a strong tree. Feel the pull downward, solid, steady, ancient, grounded. Feel the divine light flowing through you and into the earth. Now imagine pure love energy flowing through the earth and back up to you, surrounding you like a warm blanket. Remember to breathe. So with each inhale, draw up calm, strength, and clarity from the earth through your roots. And with each exhale, imagine releasing doubt, insecurities, or fear into the earth. And then you seal it. When you feel centered, gently bring your awareness back. You don't have to close off these energies flowing through you. Wiggle your fingers and toes, say loud or silently, I am grounded, I am clear, I trust my inner knowing. And so it is.
And so it is. And we maybe I'll record this and put this really short one up on our magic mindful magic YouTube channel, and label it, so people can see it, like the quick
Yes.
grounding exercise. Yeah,
Yes.
because it really, once you, I mean, reading it takes longer than doing it.
Yes, for sure. And then you get used to it, and it's all visualization and attention
Hmm.
after you get used to doing that.
Yeah, we're constantly imagining roots. It's always down, to get grounded.
Yeah.
Um so I need to grab a coin because I forgot my quarter. So I have a little exercise that helped me develop my intuition and help me to see just how I receive information. Um, Once you kind of understand how you particularly receive intuitive information, then it's easier to recognize every time, and it gets stronger because you're building that pathway to it. And the doubts come in less and less because you're like, I already know that I see things when I'm asking. That's how I get my information, is I see pictures, or I hear somebody whispering into my ear, or I just know it. So this exercise just came to me one day, and it's so simple. So grab a coin, anything that has a heads or a tails, or anything the polar opposite, a 50-50 chance. So what you're going to do is just flip the coin, you know, flip the coin, get it on you. Don't look at it. Now, this is when you're going to take a moment, maybe just a deep breath, and ask heads or tails. Now, this is such a great exercise because you're going to start to learn and discern. Um, like, you look at it, you in the very beginning, maybe when it's flipping in the air, you get this little thing saying tails. But then when you hear it, you're like, okay, what is it? And it says, you hear, or you get a different message that says heads, and you look at it and it was tails. And then it's like, okay, so I need to start paying attention to that little voice that I heard right when it was the air. Let's try it again. And just practice. It's the easiest thing. Everybody has a coin, and I can't think of a simpler way to get such a clear answer. It's a heads or a tails. You're going to either see heads or tails in your mind, you're going to just know it and sense it. It's going to be a gut feeling, or you're going to hear it, or a combination of all of those. I don't think you can really smell it, but you might be able
Or
to.
taste it, maybe.
Nobody wants to smell a tails.
Ew. I
But
love that, Marie. That is so simple because how many times you can do that, keep
right.
testing it, then you'll really understand how quick it is. And also sometimes even before it's still in the air, sometimes it's that quick.
That's when I get mine is in the air, because I still practice, because
Mhm.
you got to practice your chops.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna do the
something.
same.
Yep. So, well, are you going to do we're at a minute 10 already. I can break this episode up. Do you want to
Yeah,
do a
it's
little
up to
reading?
you. It's up to you. Do you want me to do it? Do you think that we are
Um,
too long?
no, I think I can chop this into 2 episodes.
Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Um, just at the end, I'll probably put a little something in that's like, okay, well, we're going to end here for now. Check out our next episode.
Okay.
So I can edit that in. Um, but I'll just say this part. So, well, next, you guys are always gifted with one of Kate's, short collective readings. And we appreciate you, Kate, for doing this. But all of you, we would really love to hear from you, and share our podcast. If you know somebody that you think would be interested, go ahead and send it to them. Send our link. And um, if you have different ways that you develop your intuition, something that we can share that we didn't talk about, we are so open to that. We really are about sharing everything here, and just getting the word out and normalizing everything here, because intuition is like, it's so normal. Everybody has it. It's just whether you choose to listen or not.
Yeah. And it's a gift. It's a gift that we all have, and we all need to learn how to use it and develop it.
Yeah. So you can write in to mindfulmagicchannel@gmail.com with any questions, any suggestions. No hate mail. Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Um, that'll be just deleted and you're out of here. Yeah. But suggestions for episodes that you want to hear some us talk about or discuss. And now that we're finally getting back into creating our podcast, we are going to start to have our guests on, which we're really excited about. So please stay tuned after Kate's reading for further episodes.
All right. So let's get going on a reading. So when Marie and I were preparing, I felt like it would be fitting to pull from my mediumship deck, which I would recommend. Oracle cards are a great way to develop your intuition because you already know what you're feeling. Oracle cards help you confirm what you're receiving. So I don't know why. I mean, obviously, I know why I was drawn to this, but I feel like there's also a message, obviously, in here for us. It's important. So, what do we need to know? Don't be afraid. So, fear blocking your abilities, blocking your intuition. This has been a really big thing with Archangel Michael. He's been so loud all week about how we are so powerful. We need to know that. We need to trust that and let go of fear and know that the only thing that can really harm us is our negative thoughts, our fear and anxieties. I am here helping you. So you have a whole spiritual team to support you. And I always say angels, but that's just how I do things. It doesn't have to be angels, whatever energy or ascended master or deceased relative that you work with. So you have we did not incarnate alone. We have a whole team, a whole family on the other side waiting to assist us. And then we have been together in dreams. So pay attention to your dreams. A lot of healing, learning, and messages are being received now in our sleep because this is a time of great awakening and shedding light on things that we didn't see before. So it's really important to pay attention to everything. Know that you have help. to not be afraid and pay attention to dreams. Marie, I'm hearing journaling again.
Mm.
Not only pay attention to your dreams, but right when you wake up, write down 3 things that stood out the most, at least, if you don't have a lot of time. The colors, how you felt, who was there, where were you, were there any animals? Animals are really big for dreams because they all have their own medicine and their own meaning. Last one, I am so much better now. So this is a deceased relative saying, hello, I'm so much better. I left at the right time. Everything happens for a reason. Whoever we love the most, or these people that we feel these strong connections with that pass early, or even that you feel that it's just hard to live without them. You know, we all have those certain losses that are hard to, you feel like you just can't quite get over it. This card is meant as a reminder that everything happens at the right time. And the reason why people that we love so much pass away early, or that we feel is early or young, or like for me, it's my grandpa. It's really hard for me not to have him, but they're meant to guide us from the other side at this time. So they never leave us. They're always here. And we really need to learn to trust our intuition, follow the guidance that we're being given, because they're saying we're here to help you, and they are helping you. And with angels, you do have to ask because we can't intervene with our free will. But our deceased relatives don't have to ask, and they do show up and they do send you signs. So just learn to trust what you receive.
I love that. I really was getting that whoever is listening to this, there, uh, there's somebody that was a really important message for a deceased relative showing up. Somebody was thinking about their loved one, and then you pulled that card, and I want them to know that that is confirmation for them. They
Yes.
hear you. They hear
Mhm.
you, and they work through everything and everybody.
Yes, for sure. And they people that we love never really leave us. They assist us from the other side as guides or our angels, and you just have to ask for a sign and trust what you receive.
Yep. Yay. So I
Yay.
hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. We're going to have some really fun stuff coming up, and we're back at it.
Yay. And we also have a few people that are going to be coming on that we're really excited about too. So stay tuned. And my crown chakra's tingling now. Like my
See?
guides, my angels are like, yay,
They're
we're
happy we're
back.
doing this. They're happy that we're back at it.
Hmm.
So, you guys like, subscribe, and watch, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.